It was 2012, I finally had the disc in my hand ready to insert into my PS3. After months of convincing my dad to buy it for me, it was finally time to play The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I immediately fell in love with being a stealthy rogue type of character, and 9 years later, nothing has really changed. But that's part of the problem, isn't it? That nothing has really changed? The stealth gameplay in Skyrim is beyond outdated at this point. It's 2021, we can disguise ourselves as our enemies and avoid detection by hiding in Hitman 3, we can strike from the shadows to quietly take out a camp in Ghost of Tsushima. Metal Gear Solid 5 even lets your companion get involved by killing your enemies quietly on command, and in all modern stealth titles, we can use our heightened senses to see our enemies before they even know we're coming. It's 2021, and I'd say it's time we finally overhaul how we approach a stealth playthrough in Skyrim, by, of course, installing a few mods. Let's begin by creating a more realistic world space that will allow us to stalk our enemies from the shadows. This mod's a classic, so I won't spend much time on it, but it is necessary for a realistic stealth playthrough. Realistic AI detection essentially reduces how important your stealth skill is, while making things like light, sound, line of sight, and equipment weight more important to you staying hidden from your enemies. In vanilla, more than half of how the AI decides if they can see you or not is based totally on your stealth skill. With realistic AI detection installed, that is reduced to only 25% and boosts detection by light to 60%. Now that enemy detection is more realistic, let's make how lights work in the world also more realistic. Realistic Lighting Overhaul completely overhauls Skyrim's lighting with thousands of edits to the game's vanilla lighting, but I found it's better to let lighting mods speak for themselves. With the lighting in our game fixed, we can find the darkest corners of the room to hide in, but just how dark is that corner? With the mod Detect Light Level, we can make sure we're hidden in the darkest spot possible. Once downloaded, a power is added to your menu called Detect Light. Equip the power and use it, and in the top corner of your screen, you'll see a number telling you how much light you're currently standing in. The higher the number, the easier it will be for people to spot you. Earlier I mentioned that the Hitman games allow you to jump into wardrobes and put on different disguises to avoid detection of bad guys on the map, and that a detective or instinct mode is a feature stealth games can no longer go without. So let's replicate that in Skyrim. We'll call this section Environmental Stealth. Master of Disguise transforms faction armor into real disguises with an immersive and fully customizable detection system. If you can get your hands on a full set of any faction's armor, put it on and you can now infiltrate their ranks. While wearing the armor, you gain new allies, but you also gain any enemies of that particular faction. The disguise doesn't guarantee that you can walk around freely, so you will still need to be careful. You also need to take into consideration who you're trying to hide among. If you're an Argonian trying to infiltrate a group of Thalmor, that's probably not going to turn out very well. Eventually your disguise will fail, and you will need to stand and fight, or run and hide. Normally in Skyrim, the extent of your hiding is either hoping that an NPC doesn't come around the corner, or having a basket ready to place on a merchant's head. The mod Hidespots gives you different ways to hide from your pursuers. The system is a lot like Hitman or Assassin's Creed. You can disappear from sight by jumping into things like barrels, wardrobes, and haystacks. From there, you can then scout your surroundings safely, assassinate passerbys, and pickpocket unsuspecting victims. Another modern stealth feature we want to add to our game is Detective Mode, Instinct Mode, Eagle Vision, whatever it is you want to call it. Every stealth game in the modern day has a feature where you can use to heighten your senses, to see through walls, to know where your enemies are before they can strike. Hunter's Senses adds a power to your arsenal that briefly allows you to enter a state of heightened awareness. Nearby creatures will become highlighted, living creatures will glow gold, and the undead, and honestly just the plain dead, will glow blue. This will give you an upper hand, especially indoors when you don't know who or what is behind every corner. Alright, we are halfway through this mod list, so let's take some time to recognize some honorable mentions that you might want to install. Sneak Tools is a must download. This is going to allow you to silently sneak up and knock out enemies, slit their throats, kill sleeping targets, and also wear a mask concealing your identity. It also lets you craft different types of arrows. The most helpful one for this list is the water arrow. It lets you extinguish any fire to make your environment dark enough to hide in. The only reason we have this on the honorable mentions today is because we featured this mod before in our Bat of Skyrim video. If you want to check that video out, you can get more details on the mod. Our next honorable mention, Fists Don't Alarm People. You'll never guess what this one does. In the vanilla game, the detection sound level on unarmed attacks was set to normal. This mod will change that to silent. And our last honorable mention, Relaxed Sneak Animations. This one is pretty simple. It edits vanilla sneaking animations for a raised center of gravity, a straighter posture, the arms are more reeled in, and the wrists aren't bent. It seems a lot more realistic to me. I mean, have you ever actually tried to crouch walk? I just don't think that's a thing. The rogue life can be a lonely one, sneaking around all the time, no one wants to talk to you, nobody can see you, but who says it has to stay that way? Let's take a look at beefing up the stealth of your followers. Stealthy Lydia is a mod that takes everyone's favorite first follower and makes her a stealthy ranger that fits rogue playstyles. Lydia has a new default armor set consisting of the vanilla leather armor. She also has reworked perks of archery, light armor, one-handed, and stealth. But let's face it, the AI for followers isn't exactly built for stealth. They too often walk into traps or into the light or even directly at enemies without even thinking. But don't worry, that's why we are installing better stealth for AI followers. This mod does three main things. First, while sneaking, your follower won't start any combat with enemies until after they have actually attacked. Second, if your follower has a torch equipped, they will unequip the torch while sneaking. And third, when sneaking, your follower will make fewer random comments. Now let's actually utilize Lydia in some stealth combat. With the mod Stealth Kills for Followers, once installed, you can order your follower to stealthily take down an unsuspecting victim. Make sure your follower is armed with a blade of some kind, it doesn't matter, and then you talk to them. You'll have two dialogue options, but we're going to use the one that makes most sense to me. Talk to Lydia and say, "Prepare to take the enemy down, I'll give a sign." Then, in your powers menu, there should be a sign to cast called Takedown Sign. Cast that on the ground near your victim, and stand by. Now that your game is up to date with modern stealth mechanics, what are you going to do with them? We have two mods to fill that void. First, Shenk Thievery Overhaul does a lot to keep your stealth gameplay fresh and fun. Its aim is to make Thievery in Skyrim more rewarding and a bit more challenging. There are 5 main features of this mod that we're going to focus on. I'll try to get through them as quickly as I can. First, there are some stealthy ways to get around the 5 major cities. They include tunnel systems, ladders, rooftop traversal, secret roof hatches, and more. Second, NPCs have been added to guard various shops and houses during the nighttime hours. Poorer areas may have guard dogs, shops and middle-class areas have night watchmen, and richer residents, they have hired housecarls. The reason they're there is because of our third feature. NPC thieves may prowl targets at night. They sneak around specific houses and shops and they'll steal anything that's laying out. They only head out on specific days of the month, so seeing them can actually be pretty rare. During my recording, I managed to record only one walking around Whiterun and then entering a building. Fourthly, more loot and items have been added to houses and shops across Skyrim. Not a huge amount, but enough to hopefully make burglaring feel a little more rewarding. And finally, the big one. This mod adds vaults beneath the 5 major cities. These have large city guard presence and they require keys to access, but they have plenty of loot. You can get these keys from guards, or you can find clues like the Solitude Vault that gives you hints to where the keys are hidden. These vaults are where the new stealth mechanics really shine. Using hunter senses to see where your enemies are before turning down a hallway, Hidespots allows you to get away when you're eventually caught, Master of Disguise allows you to walk directly to the vault with nearly no resistance, and realistic AI detection lets you creep along the walls and duck behind cover before you're spotted. Our second mod to keep your stealth playthrough fun and fresh is called Missives. Missives adds notice boards to all the 9 hold capitals in Skyrim. Interacting with the boards will give you a list of local side quests that you can choose from. Some of them want you to recover an item for someone, or you can accept a quest to assassinate a target. There are a variety of quests to choose from, and plenty of them can be stealth-based. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know how your stealth playthroughs are going, and if you've added any mods to this to make it even better. Before we go, I wanted to say a big thank you to Heavy Burns. If you don't know him, check him out. He highlighted my page in a recent video, and many of our recent subscribers said they have come from there. I've got nothing but kind words from you all, and I really appreciate that, and I thought it was important to mention it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.